gentleman who's running for the 7th Congressional District.
Hey.
And he just missed his old boss by a few minutes. Mr. Igor Birman.
Wow. Folks, well, thank you for this wonderful introduction, and thank you for this reception. My gosh, I wasn't expecting anywhere near this boisterous. And now I've got the challenge of following Tom. So, but look, I want to thank you all very much for coming. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to the NSA. In case they're listening, they probably are. But, you know, I heard, I forget whose saying it was, but I remember a TV personality saying that Americans for centuries were begging for a government that would listen to them. Well, what are they complaining about? Now they finally got a government that's listening to every word that they say. So, but look, you know, there's a serious matter here too, because we come here today knowing that the same liberty, that same dream that once inspired patriots throughout the colonies to challenge the most powerful empire on the face of the earth, and not just that, but the most powerful military force ever assembled in the history of humanity, and then that same dream that defined the American Republic for more than 2 centuries of its existence is now in grave danger. Yep. We know all that. But here's the thing. That liberty is in danger not because freedom has failed, but because we, the American people, have taken it for granted for much too long. Yeah. And folks, I have to tell you this, as we begin to see the very tip of that iceberg that is government control, we have to realize that our nation is still mostly familiar with tyranny by reputation, from the words and suffering of others. Let's keep it that way. Let's be sure that we're not ever fully familiar with how bad government control is by our own experience. I've been there. I know. It's a painful experience. I lived through it for the first 13 years of my life in the Soviet Union. I never want to live through that experience again. You never want to live through that experience again. And quite frankly, we owe it to those who have come before us to ensure that our posterity never knows that government control that so many people in the world are buckling under. Here's the thing. I'll never forget this defining moment in my life. Right before we left Soviet Russia, we were still in Moscow, and the Russian secret police ransacked our little apartment. Well, my mom turned to my little brother, who was very upset, absolutely apoplectic, turned to him, held him close, and said, "Eugene, don't cry, don't be upset. In just a couple of days, we go to America, and this will never happen there." Now, you can tell that this was before the Patriot Act was passed. But, folks, here's the thing. Our nation has slowly lost sight of just how important liberty is with the passage of legislation like the Patriot Act, with the passage of legislation like the NDAA that authorizes indefinite detention, with the persecution of journalists whose only crime is digging a little too deep. Folks, we've seen it. It's all happening on our watch. We now live under a government where those who disagree with them are intimidated by the most feared and powerful arms. And those who really disagree are threatened with persecution, IRS audits, etc. This is not just an academic conversation. This is real. This is going on all around us. And by the way, here's the most pernicious part. Here's the scariest part. They say it's for our own good. Well, you know, I heard a quote once from C.S. Lewis. It is absolutely brilliant. He said, "Of all tyrannies, a tyranny exercised for the good of its victims may be the most oppressive. It may be better to live under robber barons than under omnipotent moral busybodies. The robber baron's cruelty may sometimes sleep. His cupidity may at some point be satiated. But those who torment us for our own good will torment us without end, for they do so with the approval of their own conscience." Folks, and further, our economic woes do not come from an over-reliance on freedom. They don't come from too much freedom. They're a symptom of a society that's overdosed on government. And that's something that's up to us to fix, and that's something up to us to fix right now. And liberty is the answer to Republican Party winning elections time after time and again in California. Because people have now had a first-row seat to all of the excesses of government control. They can't take it anymore. And here's the thing. Our party was founded on freedom. Our party was founded on liberty. It is about time that we reclaimed the roots of our founding. Here's the thing. Our future is liberty. I believe in that. I believe in that very fervently, which is why I'm running for Congress. In the district where I'm running, it is split 50-50 between Republicans and Democrats. The roots and the keys to winning that district is to champion freedom in the boldest of colors, to do so with passion and credibility. And voters, regardless of their party, will rally to our cause. Because big government hurts across all party lines, across all walks of life. And it's now created a generation that is familiar with what's about to come. And I'll have to tell you, folks, it is because my parents risked their lives to bring me to this country. That's what's inspired me to stand up and warn about the road that we're going, because I've been down that road. I've lived under a leader that's governed by decree. I've lived in a place where the secret police didn't bother with search warrants or those quaint notions of probable cause. Folks, we can't let that come to America. I'll close with this. Ronald Reagan used to tell the story of a Cuban refugee who told his story of coming to freedom to two of Ronald Reagan's friends. And during that story, one of Ronald Reagan's friends turned to the other and said, "My God, how lucky we are to live in America," because he had just heard all of these terrible details of living under Castro. But the Cuban interrupted right back and said, "You're the lucky ones." No, I am the lucky one because I had some place to escape to. And what Ronald Reagan said was this. In that one sentence, the Cuban had told us his entire story. He needed to say no more. This is freedom's last stand on earth. And folks, we have to defend it. We have to defend it right here. We have to defend it in California. And folks, we start by championing those very same principles of personal responsibility, constitutionally limited government that propelled our nation to the pinnacles of prosperity. Folks, candidates like me need your help. I appreciate the endorsement of the Liberty Caucus. I look forward to working with you. But please remember, the key to winning elections in California is by campaigning on nothing but pure, unadulterated liberty. Let's go out there and do that. Thank you all very much. Thank you all.